Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Flash and Dash podcast in conjunction with Sports Gaming Anonymous. I am Flash, of course, and my partner in crime over there, Dash. What's up, baby?
Yo, 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 what's going on? Glad to be back.
Man, yeah, it feels good. Feels good to be back. Of course, we got the best producer in the business back in the on the sidelines over there, checking our ones and twos. Andre Wingate, Dre, what's up, baby?
What up? What up?
Cool. So on today's episode, we got some things in the news over the past week or so. We're gonna be going over, some Xbox news, some PlayStation news, some games coming up. But what you been playing?
Man, you know what I've been playing. Well, I'll start off with Path of Exile, a JRPG.
Is it a JRPG?
I mean, it's really massive, actually, so we can start there. But it's definitely one of the most in-depth RPGs of that style, similar to Diablo, if anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it was it's hundreds and hundreds of hours of gameplay easily, just the loot and grind alone. But that's really what's been taking up the majority of my time outside of being in school and stuff out here. So
yeah, and you got me on there because that's what I'm playing too. I've been playing a lot of Path of Exile. Again, it's Diablo style, very hack and slash RPG type style game. A lot of customization. It's a great game. I was able to sprinkle in a couple of other things that I had, that I played lately. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which I started, and that's been very dope. It's finally strayed away from that classic Assassin's Creed style and kind of changed gears a little bit, so that's dope. Streets of Rage 4 is fire, just in case anybody was interested in wanting to play that, but that's flames too. So let's just roll with it. Let's roll with our first news topic. Ghosts of Tsushima. So so that's coming up on the horizon. They finally put a date on it, July 17th. And they dropped that 18-minute gameplay trailer reveal thing, which was excellent. First of all, I just want to say that the game looks beautiful. I'm going to run down a couple of things, how I feel about it. The graphics are fantastic. Now, that's to be expected. I feel like in 2020, saying the graphics are spectacular is kind of like
arbitrary.
Yeah, like it's very arbitrary. Like I feel like, okay, it should be for games like that. Every game is not, much like how Nintendo isn't, focused on graphics. Every game is not going to be graphic heavy, but games like that, yeah, you expect the graphics to look good. But I think it was more about the finite details of the graphics. You look at the blades of grass and, the lighting effects were just fantastic. I just think we're getting to a point where we're starting to come towards the ceiling for what we can do graphically. But along with that, again, it was the small details, like when he was riding through, one thing that stood out to me when he was on the horse, he was able to pick, supplies without getting off the horse.
Yo,
which I think was great. It was such a small thing, but
oh my goodness.
Like, just like, okay, you didn't even have to get off the horse. That's dope. I don't know why, but it's just dope to me.
It's the little things you appreciate.
Yeah, for real. I think, and now obviously what the game is going to set itself aside is the gameplay, right? The game very much functions. He's talking about looking at like how the style is of the game, how it moves, how the combat is. It reminds me a lot of like Assassin's Creed meets Onimusha meets Batman.
Yeah,
like a role of like those kind of different styles. And again, this game is not going to reinvent the wheel. Those games are successful, and they've been successful, and it's just taking those style of games and just making it work. I think it, again, is going to be the details. You look at like the gear, and you can get different color dyes, and then it changes the color of the gear. But it's not just that; it's also the different gear has a different correlation to how your play style is. And it, again, it's not just aesthetics, it's how the armor and how the gear has an impact on how your character moves, how they play. And one big thing towards the end when they revealed that cinema mode, good God almighty, like how it changed to like that grainy black and white, like you're watching a samurai movie. Like, yo, for all the knock that I've given Sony over the years, this game right here is a winner. Like, I think, I don't know. What do you think? Because
listen, I mean, I always, I mean, as much as I have my particular bias towards Sony, they still have came strong with particular titles, and I'm not talking about Spider-Man because that's just not. I'm just not. Spider-Man is one of my favorite superheroes, sure, but that's not a game that I'm just always looking forward to when it comes to Sony exclusives.
You're not gonna go out and run out and buy a PlayStation because of Spider-Man.
No, and if you do, then I'm looking at you kind of funny.
Correct.
Because there are so many other titles that have a different level of difficulty and a different level of detail than just your run-of-the-mill superhero title. But to start off with the detail, for me, I was looking at the combat, and I went and rewatched the side-by-side of the different combat styles that you could do and use, whether that be the Ghost or the Standard. And even in the Standard combat style, you had the different fighting stances, which I loved, that you could alternate between while fucking slashing away arrows. While in mid combat with a few other enemies, while at the same time bouncing back to the Ghost, which is more than likely when I do get a PS5 at some point. That Ghost play style is where I'm gonna be stuck in. Like, I'm just gonna be there. That's where I'm gonna live and make all my money at. Just stealth gameplay is one of my favorite game styles and play styles to play in. And even just this had it, and this got it for me. After the combat was over, every time he does a little sword twirl and swings his blade down,
it's funny because
the blood literally just flings off of the sword and onto the ground.
It's one of those things where I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's something that now again, for the life of me, I can't remember the games, but this is something that Capcom had figured out a long time ago, because I don't remember if it was Onimusha or Devil May Cry that figured that out, whereas the samurai, I feel like it was Onimusha. That's a samurai thing where the samurai cleans the blade off before he sheathes his sword, whether it be wipes the blood off, or for dramatic effect in a video game, they see, they shake the sword off and then splash the blood, and then he sheathes the sword, and that's a very samurai thing. So I'm glad that was a small detail that they were able to kind of to nail that detail. Another thing I think was great with this game was the going back to the combat was very, kind of precise movements, and in terms of no wasted movements, right? It's very much, again, very samurai, very ninja, very, reminds you in modern times, it reminds you of very like watching the Bourne Identity movies, where there's no wasted movement. It's not a lot of like flashy. It's just like, what's the quickest way to go about killing this person in as least amount of movement as possible?
Correct.
And this game, I think, nails that, because it's like he waits for his enemy to make a move and then goes directly in for a killing strike. Like, obviously not every combat battle is going to be that way, but the fact that it exists is very true to form for the lore, for samurai lore and ninja. It's listen, very concentrated strikes and killing blows only. Like we're not trying to waste a lot of movement here.
Yeah, and to speak to that, I could even go to Assassin's Creed of back in the day, where if they don't have any armor on, you're sitting there hacking and slashing and dodging and hitting them about 80 times with one of the sharpest blades ever created.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they're not dying. And then, but as soon as this gameplay demo started in regards to the combat scenario, it was a block, and then he was dead.
Right.
It was a direct kill shot straight to the neck, blood leaking out everywhere. And then the only time that it usually wasn't was either if they blocked or they had a different degree level of armor. But even there was a way that you could strategically take them out quickly, so you're not sitting there in a combat scenario for 5 to 10 minutes.
Before we move on, the last point I want to make about this game is that I think that while they did want to get this game out, I think that this should have 100% been a PS5 launch title. I think, and being as close to Last of Us 2, like Last of Us 2 is, I think, June 19th.
Yeah.
And then you get this a month later. I think that's dangerous ground because Last of Us 2 is going to be such a big hit. And not that this won't be, but Last of Us 2 is something that people have been clamoring for. It's a premier title in the system. And while Ghost of Tsushima is a new IP that looks amazing, Last of Us 2 is an established IP that people are going to be playing. And I just feel like this game would have been better suited as a launch PS5 title, because coming out the gate with something like this is like, wow. Now I'm sure they got other stuff, but this would have been like something else to put in there, their holster. So with that said, let's move right on to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, second story here on the docket. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I think, again, we haven't seen much gameplay. We saw a lot of cutscenes, a lot of cinematics. Now, how much gameplay do we really need to see from Assassin's Creed? I get it. Also, they haven't put a date on this yet, just sometime holiday this year. So in line with previous Assassin's Creed, just expect this to be October, November, whatever, something like that. This is going to go back to the Viking era, which I think, side note for me for Assassin's Creed, and with something we can maybe, talk about in a little bit, is they're eventually going to run out of eras for these Assassin's Creed games. They're just going to run out of, like, okay, we've done Greek, we've done Roman, we've done Italy, we've done all these time periods, we've done, the Dark Age, we're going to Vikings. It was like, at some point in time, there won't be anything left. They'll just be like, all right, well, we're done with Assassin's Creed because there's no more time eras to go to.
Well, that's when they're gonna make the jump to modern day.
You could, but how many games already do that?
I mean, they'll run out eventually.
They'll just run out. But again, I think this game is gonna be great. I think that while I mentioned I started up Odyssey a little bit, and Odyssey got rave reviews, and I can tell already why. It's from a time period that I love, and it's a great time period. It starts out with the Battle of 300, which is just dope. Just that time period, I love that era, and it already, I can tell, it has those RPG elements that the series is starting to stray into, which is great. Finally, right. Like just in the beginning, it shows you different armor you can equip. And immediately I'm like, yeah, okay, they've figured this out, the right direction to take this series. And I think Valhalla will totally embrace that. And in that Viking time period, I think is going to be really dope. I'm really much looking forward to that. What do you think?
No, I definitely am too. One of my favorites. I enjoyed Odyssey, especially for what it was. But I was a big Origins fan.
A lot of people liked Origins.
Just that Egyptian time period is quality.
I like that too.
But that's when I would even say that's when they really introduced the RPG elements for real. They had them a little bit, I guess, in the prior Assassin's Creeds, but it didn't have the RPG real feel.
Correct.
Of equipping different armor and them having different rarities and things that add to the replayability. But speaking of Valhalla, I really am looking forward to the war aspect, and Odyssey had a war. I'm pretty sure that they had a massive battle in, but this one, I think, is going to be really interesting to see how they incorporate that into this style and this era. I'm really excited about the weapon choice that'll be available.
Yep.
I'm really excited about, the different characters that you'll probably be able to build. I'm not really sure as to. I'm really curious as to the replayability of this one specifically, or just how long it's really going to be, gameplay aspect. Because Origins was long, Odyssey was even longer, and I'm really curious to see as to how long are they really going to keep trying to make these games? When is too long an issue for Assassin's Creed?
And that's a good point, and I think that's something that they're really going to have to explore, because one thing that they're going the direction of with these games, which is something that I forgot to mention about Ghost of Tsushima, is that like Ghost, you're looking at Ghost and looking how they're fully embracing you need to just go ahead and explore this world to find things. The way Ghost is going to be set up, and the way you follow the guiding wind, and the wind shows you where to go, the direction of the wind, that's the way you need to be going, and the environment helps you with that. The foxes, the birds, they're showing you the points of where to go, and just how nature and the whole envelopment of the world is guiding you through the game. I think obviously doing it their own way, I think Ubisoft has figured out that these Assassin's Creed games need to be much more about exploration and you figuring out the world, as opposed to, okay, do this, go here, go from A to B to C to D, which is what made the very first game was like, okay, I see what you guys are trying to do, but it was like, this is boring.
Right.
It's like you jump off the thing. It's like, okay, you climb to the top. It's like, okay, you unlock the area, you jump into a crate of hay. Okay, how many times can I do that before I want to stab myself in the eye?
I'm absolutely tired of jumping off the shit. I'm tired. I'm real tired of having a
I think that they might, because I feel like they'll find a happy medium, because no, you can't make these games as long as The Witcher, right? You can't do that because only those games can do that. This can't be The Witcher. It can't be Skyrim. It can't be, because those games exist in that way because of what you can do in those games. They're designed to be, okay, do this, get this, equip this, make this potion out of this, go look for this, dig this up. Assassin's Creed games are more like, go fight things. Go kill people. Like, that's what you're here to do. Do this mission, go kill people. So I think that, we'll see. I'm buying this game because, they eventually got me to get Assassin's Creed Odyssey, all these sales on these games, $15, $20. It's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll scoop it up and do some backtracking. But I think I'll definitely pick this up. This could be like a day one purchase for me to check this game out. But again, what is the replayability? Because I'm big on how much value can I get out of this? It's like, and these are single player games. These are games that are about the adventure, the story, just that single player aspect. You're not playing Assassin's Creed for multiplayer. There was that one game that had the multiplayer and another one that kept trying to do it. It's just like, okay, nobody's here for that.
Right.
We're here for the adventure, for the story, for all of that. We're not here for multiplayer, so go on and get it out of here. So how much replay value do any of these games have without multiplayer? So any final thoughts on Assassin's Creed Valhalla before we move on?
Nah, man. No, we're good. We'll save it for when it comes out. And we get our hands on it.
When Flash and Dash review Assassin's Creed Valhalla coming soon. Sometime in October or November, because out of all these games that we're going to talk about, it's the only one that doesn't have a date. So Ubisoft, I'm gonna need you to go ahead and get on that.
Get it now.
What do and we need some gameplay, actual gameplay. I don't need cutscenes.
Facts.
So moving right along to our third story here, the Birdman, Tony Hawk, back in the building. we're getting the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remastered across all consoles. I'm not sure about Switch though. Dre will let us know if that's going to be available on Switch. As far as I know, I think it's just Xbox One, PS4, I think PC.
Yeah.
But that's September 4th. So it's kind of like right in that middle ground where it's like kind of after the summer and before things get rolling for the holidays.
Yeah.
But, tell me about your Tony Hawks and why you might want to pick this up, because I don't, to be honest with you, I'm not going to have much because I just usually watched people play Tony Hawk.
For me, I played Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. But I really didn't start enjoying myself truly to the point where I felt like I was trying to be a completionist and complete all of the objectives and do all the things necessary to quote unquote beat the game until Underground 2.
Right.
So I will say that the nostalgia aspect will be there, but I feel like there will have to be something else to pull me to get this game outside of it being on a sale.
Yeah.
Or the reviews would just have to be super outstanding or blow people out of the water completely. But I think a game like this, any skating game or any game that is similar to any extreme sport, it needs a multiplayer aspect. Like, I think that one of these games would definitely need to have some sort of hangout style aspect where you jump into a park with your homies and you tearing it up, trying to complete stuff, complete objectives, or just be there or exist, similar to how Midnight Club was, where you just pull up and people, y'all literally just hanging out and just looking at people's cars, having mini car shows. I mean, it'd be the same thing. You showing off your decks, you showing off some sick line you can string together.
Thank you, Forza Horizon, by the way, because you can really just drive around and see people on your friends list just driving around if you open up to them. So
yeah, 100%. So I definitely think that that's what this game needs, but I don't think that that's what's coming. So I don't necessarily think it'll be a title I'll truly be just itching to get my hands on.
Right.
Immediately, even though I was excited when it first was initially brought up, because that means that more are probably coming in some way, shape, or form.
Probably. I feel like this will be, they might do more, because I think a lot of people, like I said, Underground, they liked Underground. A lot of people liked 3 and 4 as well. So I think you'll probably get those remasters coming as well. It's just a matter of when. But again, it's one of those things that this will be for that audience, right? This is for that crowd of people. You're not going to get casual, the people that didn't play it before, to go and buy it now. Yeah. This is purely for the people, for that crowd. And now, don't get me wrong, it's a big crowd. That Tony Hawk Pro Skater crowd, a lot of people played those games.
They definitely.
And those people are going to buy these games because those games in a remaster, bruh, come on. Yeah. There are games that I want to remaster, and I'm like, I mean, shit, even just getting Streets of Rage 4, which effectively is a remaster of a compilation effect, kind of how Streets of Rage would just be in modern day times. So it's like, yeah, that was the easy. I didn't have to buy it because it was on Game Pass, and I still thought about buying a separate version for my Switch.
Yeah.
So just because that speaks to me. I'm 37. Like, that speaks to me. I played those first 3 Streets of Rage games like they were going out of style. Those games were fire. But yeah, I think this is going to be for that crowd. And but it's news. This is news, and it's important news because, this is a storied franchise that a lot of people love, and they were really good games. Now, like I said, I didn't play a lot of them. I mostly watched people play, and it was like, yo, you want to try it out? And you try it out, and you're like, all right, cool. And you just watch people play. It's just one of the, like, it's funny you mentioned, like, having a multiplayer online aspect of people just kind of hanging out. This is the quintessential game of people that used to just kind of hang out, and one person would play or a couple people playing, or they pass the controller. But mostly Other people were just hanging out and y'all were just bullshitting. But a couple people were actually really playing, but everybody else was just kind of hanging out. You know,
Right.
y'all was just shooting the shit, eating some snacks, listening to music, and a couple people was playing Tony Hawk. Like
Literally.
this is exactly the game designed for people to do that.
Fire it up. Let's see
having that type of online aspect, I think it makes 100% sense for this game.
Hey, just cutting in here real quick. So it is confirmed for just the PS4, Xbox One, and PC at launch.
Okay, so thank you, sir. And so sorry, Nintendo Switch owners, you will not be getting Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remastered at launch. However,
we got some
to our next story. It's a perfect segue. Moving on to our next story. Paper Mario Origami King. Let's go. July 17th. So, and first of all, I love Nintendo so much. I realize over time how like every week that goes by, how much more and more I love Nintendo, and I'm a Nintendo fanboy apparently, because like I saw this pop up, you know, on YouTube, and it was like, first of all, this came out of nowhere. This absolutely came out of nowhere. For it to be this soon. Now I know, maybe like a few weeks or a month or so back, there had been some leaked information about Nintendo doing some Mario remasters over the summer type of thing, and a Paper Mario game had been confirmed unofficially that it was going to be part of that, you know, group, and bam, here it is. So let me say that, first of all, Nintendo is great, because this trailer comes out of left field, and it's like, oh, by the way, the game's coming out in 2 months. Like, okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
That, with no previous trailers, no previous information, no gameplay information, nothing. Just, here's a trailer and the game's coming out in 2 months. If everybody could do that with their games, we would be so much happier.
I think the last time a notable title, and I guess to scale, I guess Paper Mario might be just a little less grand scheme, but Fallout 4, Bethesda did a very similar thing.
Mm-hmm.
They announced, or they had the little countdown in the black and white grayscale, I think, at one point, but that really didn't mean anything for anybody.
Right.
And then boom, at E3, they dropped it, and then it was like, oh, by the way, it's coming out this summer.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah.
And it was like, boom.
Right.
So I definitely appreciate Nintendo for that. I would hope that more game developers would kind of get out of it. And I really think that might be what Sony is doing in releasing these titles in the summer. I think we're starting to get away from these release windows. These strict release windows of fall and holiday, because there's definitely room to make money during the summer that nobody is taking up right now.
So, as a Nintendo Switch owner, but not a Nintendo fanboy, how are you feeling about a Paper Mario release?
Well, I mean, I played one Paper Mario title, and it was on my GameCube. And that was in your door. I truly enjoyed the experience. It was definitely different. But to see this come to light the way that it has, looking at the trailer and looking at kind of the gameplay aspects a little bit, even some of the bosses that seem to be tucked away in there, and this 3D aspect that is still present, but it just still does the little flip when you start to turn. Yes, it's very refreshing, but the RPG element just looks so, the RPG take, it looks so interesting. It grabbed my attention immediately, and I wasn't, when you had first talked about it in the group offline, I was just like, oh, it's just Paper Mario, whoop-de-doo, it's all right, it'll be good. And I actually, took a dive into the trailer and a little bit of the gameplay, and I was like, I actually might have to get my hands on this. So I'm really excited about it, to say the least.
Yeah. Again, going back further, because obviously my history with Paper Mario goes back to its origin. Now, granted, it's only been a few games, and really, truly, the only ones that people really speak of is the original Paper Mario on N64 and Paper Mario Thousand Year Door on GameCube. but I had let me rephrase that. I rented Paper Mario 64.
Rented. Well, Hollywood
my
video?
N64, because mind you, I had a PlayStation and a Nintendo 64. And this was when I, living in Washington, when traveling back to New York, for the holiday and then back to Washington, in transit, my PlayStation bit the dust.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, so I only have an N64. So here I am just playing Nintendo 64. This was 2000 going in 2001.
Yeesh.
Playing stuff. I would hit the store, rent stuff. I rented Paper Mario 64 and yes, beat it. But that was that first game that was like, yo, Mario's going in all these different directions. And it was very like side scrolling. And again, it had little 3D elements, but it was very like 2D and 3D at the same time. And it had little like kind of RPG elements and had a very unique kind of combat system, which was dope. I think what people want from this game, and we don't know 100% sure, again, just seeing the trailer, we haven't really seen much true gameplay stuff. I mean, we see a little bits and pieces, but I think that people want more of Mario RPG style gameplay, which Super Mario RPG, an old Super Nintendo game, which went full RPG with Mario, full turn-based RPG style, and it was dope. It is one of the games that, if I bet you most people, if you ask most Nintendo people which game they wanted Nintendo to remake, it would be Super Mario RPG, 100%. And Paper Mario had kind of taken up the mantle of trying to take that next step and being that game. And then what really pushed it was Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, which was like Game Boy Advance and the handheld DS games that were fantastic. Very funny games, and they had great unique elements, turn-based elements for the combat style. And they were just great. Those games were great. And again, I think a lot of Nintendo gamers want that RPG style gameplay out of this game, and we may or may not get it, or maybe this might be an akin for something else to come for, maybe it might lead to more of these Paper Mario game, the next game down the line that may have more RPG elements, or we might just get Super Mario RPG remade.
Maybe.
Nintendo, please.
Maybe.
Possibly.
Wishful thinking.
I'm hoping. I'm trying to be hopeful about this. So that's dope. Looking forward to that. I know all the Nintendo folks are looking forward to that as well. So we're gonna move right along into our next big story here. So there was an Epic Games event reveal where they unleashed upon the world the Unreal 5 engine in all its glory, running on a PS5, the tech demo. I'm going to lead off with saying I think this is the native direction for what we can do graphically. This is the next step. And one, let me just get this on the table and then quickly off the table for anybody that thinks, especially again, for any Sony folks, not here to bash anybody, but if you think for a second that it wasn't presented as running on an Xbox Series X and talked about as running on an Xbox Series X, that means that it can't run on the Xbox Series X, you are asleep.
I didn't even know that was a narrative that was actually going around.
Okay, because if you believe for 1 second that this can't run and will not be running on the Xbox Series X, you are sorely mistaken. Okay, let's just get that out and quickly move it to the side, because if you think that, you clearly have missed the boat on all of this. Because if you think that the PS5 is more powerful than the Series X, again, you haven't been paying attention. Also, I would also like to kill the narrative that I don't want to get into the detail articles from, I feel like it was Epic Games. But this notion that the PS5 is right now is going to be outpacing PCs. Come on, son.
Just off of an SSD alone, which is blowing my mind.
Come on. Nothing any of these consoles can do. They're just always going to be behind what PCs can do. They're just always good. They might get close. Like, I think a PS5 and Series X are close to what like lower end PCs can do. But if you think this is like they were talking like, oh, the PS5 is going to set the precedent for what PCs can do. What? No, stop.
That's people that don't know anything about gaming.
Just stop.
When they start talking about gaming.
Because this got nothing to do with Xbox. Just stop. This has got to do with tech. What PCs can do are way ahead of what consoles will ever be able to do. Unless they release a console every year, there ain't no way keeping up with what PCs can do. So let's just kill that narrative right now. But as far as this tech demo, it looked great, right? It looked amazing. They're talking about all the different triangles and hundreds of little triangles and the different colors, and it's cool. It's dope, right? So for me, though, this is why I dropped the hammer on all of this. I don't care. Because to me, this next generation is not about what these games look like. Because in my opinion, and this was something that I called years ago, but this was a natural thing that we're gonna hit. We're gonna hit a ceiling graphically. We're about to hit the ceiling graphically. PS5 and the Xbox Series X is the ceiling. If you think that, because of, you look at these tech demos, like you look at this, it's running on PS5, and this is what the new tech is gonna do. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But as a gamer, right? As a gamer playing these games, even the most beautiful games, you only see like 20% of. Because what are you looking at when you playing these games? Your character or the other characters on the screen that are trying to kill you or do something to. Unless you're talking something like a complete, exploration, adventure, Skyrim with less killing.
I would say that, yeah.
Like, then okay. Where you are doing mostly like, oh man, you're traversing the landscape and look at the different shading, look at the lighting. But let me tell you something. Looking at going back to Ghost of Tsushima, how much looking around in the environment are you going to be doing? Because you're looking for people trying to kill you. You're looking for the environment trying to kill you, which is like the animals. Mind you, don't think I didn't peep the bear mauling that dude off to the side on the left as you just casually stroll by on your horse. Like, yo, I might want to stop and do something about this, but you know what? I don't have time for that. This dude is getting mauled.
Style. Shout out to Leo, by the way.
Yeah, facts. But I'm like, I don't care. Here's what I care about. I care about loading times. I care about, game saves. I care about cross saves, cross play. I don't care about the push to graphical like excellence. Do I want it to look nice? Sure. Do I want a game like Ghost of Tsushima to look as good as it can? Of course. I don't want it to look like Tenchu on PlayStation, right? Yeah. I want it to look the best it can look, of course. But again, this goes back to me being such a Nintendo fanboy. I don't care. You play Breath of the Wild and you're like, it looks good, right? But you're not here for that. You're here for the puzzles. You're here for the gear. You're here for the gameplay, the RPG elements, exploring the world, uncovering the world, like the combat. You don't care what Zelda looks like. You don't give a shit how that game looks for the most part. Do you want it to look good? Yes. Here's what I want to look: colorful. That's what I want. That's what I care about. The Mario, Paper Mario, Mario Odyssey, all these games, they're colorful. Oh, Mario Kart, Smash Bros. They're colorful, fabulous. That's all I care about. I don't care how they look. I care about how they play. And this is something that Nintendo figured out years ago, which is why they're able to stay in their lane. They don't care how the games look graphically. They care how the games play, which is why Nintendo has been able to stay the course, because gameplay, they've always been more consistently superior to Sony and Microsoft. Sony and Microsoft will give you a bunch of garbage and then some bangers. Nintendo's going to give you consistently great games. Even games that you're not on your radar, that are not playing. Because let me tell you what, Donkey Kong Country, Tropical Freeze, fantastic. Nobody's playing it.
No.
Excellent.
Yeah, definitely not.
Perfect example, of their library. Nobody's talking about it, but it's fabulous. Nobody cares what Animal Crossing looks like, but how many millions of people are playing it?
I actually have Animal Crossing, by the way. Never played Animal Crossing in my life, and I'm playing
Nobody
it.
cares what it looks like, though.
Absolutely not. But I'm enjoying my time. I'm walking around in some drawers and a Kobe jersey, so I'm living my best life on it.
Exactly. But my point before I let you go is just that I don't care what it looks like. The tech demo is nice, yes, and Sony and Microsoft are going to push the limits of graphical excellence. Great. Talk to me about cross saves. Talk to me about can the world load up instantly? That's what I care about. I don't care as much of what it looks like as how fast can it load. Can I turn the game on and not have to wait to, like GTA 5? Jesus Christ. You have to sit and wait 10 minutes before the game loads into the world. And I understand the principle of that's how that world is designed, and it's so massive that it has to load it 100% so it doesn't have to do anything after that. I get it. But moving into the next generation, I want a game like GTA 5. You hit, continue and load. I'm loaded right into the world. I don't want to sit there and wait 10 minutes to load into the world. Load me into the world and then keep me going. I don't have to do no more loading after that. Just let me keep going. That's what I care about. I don't care how it looks.
And to that, I would even begin by saying I think that's where, even though Xbox, the Series X doesn't have an SSD, their hard drive is still very powerful in that.
Doesn't it? I thought it did.
I don't think it's like an SSD specifically.
Isn't it? Dre, we need a fact check on that. Is the Xbox Series X SSD memory?
I was looking at the comparisons, and I remember seeing an SSD for PS5, but it wasn't an SSD for Xbox Series X. But I could be wrong. But to say that, I had just picked up a Seagate SSD for my Xbox One X, and I will say that it has decreased my load times, for example, Path of Exile, by 10 to 15 seconds. I'm sitting there and I'll load up playing with Josh or something like that, and I'll load in and I'm like already punching through the damn game or the map itself, and I'm just like, he's like, where you at? I'm like, I'm like already halfway across the map. So just off the SSD and the hard drive power alone, I think these new consoles will take that step that you're looking to go for gaming. I just want us to get to the point where these consoles hit that ceiling or are flirting with that ceiling consistently, to the point where they're not having to sacrifice other portions of the game for the sake of graphics. Because we see that time and time again, where even CD Projekt Red had gotten pushed back for our consoles that we have now, for the fact that they couldn't run properly graphically on the system. So We'll see it a multitude of times over many different games where sacrifices are made just to make the game look great. And I'm definitely one of the people that played Skyrim, and I just walk around and I just pan the camera around and look around until a bandit come and try and knock me upside my head with some random shit. So I definitely appreciate graphics, probably maybe just a little more, but in that same interim and within that same breath, I don't want it to have to be the end all be all for consoles, because that's why we get called peasants all the time by the PC community, because they're not ever concerned about that. They get all different types of games at all different graphic levels that all still tend to be great for the most part. Not all of them, of course, but the games that are notable, but even not. I just want us to get to that point to where we can consistently not have to worry about what the graphics are going to be. The games can just be and operate on their own interdependently of graphics, so we can actually just enjoy the game for what it is. You look at a game like Wasteland that's coming out in August. I don't know if you played with any of the Wasteland titles. But hold on, Dre just dropped the information on the Series X. Series X has a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD, but it's raw with an output of 2.4 gigabytes per second. And PS5 has an SSD with 825 gigabytes of storage and 5.5 gigabytes per second, 14 minutes at a time.
Okay, so that's like, yeah, I mean, and that's, I mean, again, SSD is going to be the tech that moves these consoles towards that.
Yeah.
Again, I need that. That's what I need from these consoles. I need them. I don't need, the pinnacle of graphics, because we've reached the pinnacle. Let's be honest. We've reached the pinnacle of graphics. Like, there isn't anything else.
Yeah, at this point, I think it's just, I guess, how consistently can the graphics run through the course of the game?
Correct. Just give me a set. Now the next thing is, okay, give me consistent, frames per second, and give me a, like a set frames per second, and cut out the loading times. That technical stuff is where next generation is supposed to start to make grounds.
Yeah.
Technical advances, not graphical advances. We've made enough graphical advances to this point. We're done on graphical.
At this point, you just gotta go virtual reality at this point.
PS3 and 360 to PS4 and Xbox One. That was the last graphical advance. Yeah. We're not making any more graphical advances. So let's stop pandering about graphics, because they're not as important as these other things are. These other things are now the most important thing on the table. Loading, loading times and saves and cross saves and frames per second. Talk to me about frames per second. Can we get a consistent number on what the frames per second are across the board? Can we get a consistent 30 and not just like, can we get 60? Like, what is, can we start?
I think we got to be past 60 at this point, especially with these.
Well, we're not going to be. Some games might get 60, but we're not going to be across the board 60. And that's
You're right. And that won't be until later, especially with the Xbox event.
Yeah, we're not going to get that now. But so with that said, I think, we've got some time here. We can move into what will be our last topic of the show. We talk about the Xbox, the Inside Xbox Series X gameplay event reveal, whatever. So, being an Xbox gamer, right? Being my main console of choice, because I'm an Xbox owner and I'm a Switch owner. Do not own a Sony console. I did at one point own a PS4, twice, I think. Same thing with PS3. And I never start or end the generations with a Sony console. I always own one like somewhere in between the console generations. So no, I didn't play God of War. No, I didn't play. I don't remember something after that, but I don't remember. Who knows? But I didn't play Spider-Man. But I played a little bit of Last of Us. I played Uncharted 4, played Persona 5 a little bit. But I say all that to say that even as an Xbox gamer, as an Xbox owner, as an Xbox main console, individual, this is Microsoft's first misstep in the lead up to next generation.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you what, for an event that was supposed to be gameplay oriented, there was a whole lot of missing gameplay. Like, there was a lot of cutscenes and a lot of shit looked pretty. Like, okay, like trailers and cutscenes, they don't do anything for me. Nope. I'm not here for that. I don't care. I don't care what the cutscenes look like. I don't care what the trailer looks like, because that's not how the game looks. I'm not. It's not a movie. Like, I'm not here for that.
Correct.
Cutscenes during the game is cool, but I'm here for the game. I'm not here for the cutscenes. So it's like, yeah, I get they wanted to show off what the graphical. Again, I don't care. I don't care what show me what the gameplay looks like. Show me some shit that's where the game loads from menu to game instantly. Yeah. Show me that. That would speak so much more volumes than showing me cutscenes. I don't care what the cutscenes look like. I just don't care.
Half the time people skip them damn cutscenes anyway.
Exactly. I don't care. I don't care what the cutscenes look like. Now, one thing that they did touch on, what a lot of these games are going to have, and something they had mentioned before, is smart delivery. Now, smart delivery, now that's something that I care about. Now we're talking, because smart delivery does pose a greater question that I've had in months prior. Smart delivery is a service that, again, I'm not going to try to break down the X's and O's, because there have been massive conversations over the internet of what smart delivery is and what it isn't.
Yeah, I have no idea what it was. I just heard the verbiage. So if you could.
Yeah, keeping it very basic, smart delivery is you are buying the game cross platforms. So if I buy the game on Xbox One X, I own that same game. If it is smart delivery capable, I own that same game across my other platforms. So that means if I buy it for Xbox One X, and then 3 months from now I get a Series X, I still own that game. And the technology knows to upscale that game for the appropriate console. So, which leads me to the bigger question. The bigger question is, then what are we doing? A, what are we still doing with physical? And B, and this is Microsoft's big selling point, and kudos to them, because they're not concerned with whether or not you buy a Series X, because you're effectively, whether you get Halo Infinite on your Xbox One X or you get Halo Infinite on your Series X, you're getting the same fucking game.
Yeah.
Is it going to look better and run better and do all the technical things better on your Series X? Absolutely. You're going to have less loading times and all that fun, fancy stuff? 100%. But are you getting the same game on a One X? Yes, you are. So, and the biggest question I have, which I don't know if there's an answer out there yet, is if I own the game on my One X, if I'm playing Halo on the One X, can I play Halo multiplayer with people playing on a Series X? If the answer is yes, there's no rush to upgrade. However, again, and this is Microsoft's push. Microsoft, again, this is where the line in the sand is drawn between Microsoft and Sony. Finally, after 10, 15 years, finally we're drawing a line in the sand. Here is the line in the sand. Microsoft doesn't care if you buy a Series X or not. Microsoft cares if you got that Game Pass though.
Yo, that Game Pass is so hot.
Microsoft wants you to have Game Pass Ultimate.
It's the perfect
across the board
investment. It's
period. Investment. End of story. Because I have Game Pass Ultimate, and let me tell you what. The games that are there, and they cycle through the games, and you get Microsoft.
I love how they cycle through the games.
Huh?
I said I love how they cycle through the games. Continue.
Yeah. So yeah. Some games stay there longer than others. Obviously those first party Microsoft games will. I don't think they'll cycle out. Because Forza Horizon 4, I don't think cycles out. Like Forza Horizon doesn't cycle out like until there's a new one. So. But all the Gears games are on there. So it's like all the Halos are on there. So it's like, Microsoft having Game Pass Ultimate, the games, the cycle out, you get the new Microsoft releases. Those games are there day one. You get all these other games that you could try. It's like, man, I wouldn't even think about trying this. But it's like, damn, it's on Game Pass. I might as well download it, see if it's any good. Like, you get to do that. And mind you, having Game Pass Ultimate has its advantages. And I'll tell you why. Because, yes, of course, not only does that mean that you can play those games on your PC or Windows 10, just however, you can just play it. Let's not forget the fact that a small detail that people have missed here is that there will be releases that aren't available across the board. For example, Gears of War Tactics is not on Xbox Game Pass, but it's on the PC Game Pass. So if you have Game Pass Ultimate, you can download Gears of War Tactics on your PC. You can't download it on your Xbox, but you got to have Game Pass Ultimate to have that. So I downloaded it yesterday. I haven't played it, but Gears of War Tactics has been described as XCOM on crack. So just so you are aware of how the game has been described. It's Gears, it's XCOM Gears. So just so you know. I haven't played it yet. But just so you know.
I'm gonna wait till after the call.
But yeah, I think again, Microsoft doesn't care about whether or not you buy a Series X or not. Do they want you to? Sure. They want you to upgrade eventually. But they're not pressing you to. Because they're like, yo, if you have an Xbox One X and you have Game Pass, yeah, you can still get those games. You can get Cyberpunk and Halo Infinite and whatever else is coming out. Tony Hawk, Pro Skater, remaster. Yeah, you can get all of that. Yeah, you could also get it on the Series X, but you don't need to upgrade to it. You don't have to. And if those games that are going to be compatible with smart delivery, you're not penalized for not upgrading right away. So all your information, so I come this holiday, you don't upgrade, but you bought Cyberpunk, for example, or Halo, whatever. Let's say you buy Cyberpunk. Let's just use an example of something you have to buy. Because you have Game Pass, you don't have to buy Halo, right?
Nope.
So Cyberpunk. You buy Cyberpunk for your Xbox One X, and you've been playing it, and you're going through it, you're like, yeah, man. And then like 6 months from now, you're like, yeah, I'm finally going to make that jump. I'm going to upgrade. You're not penalized because guess what? All you just get, because of smart delivery, you're just going to cross over. You're going to upload all your information, your profile onto your Series X. And because of smart delivery, all your information that your gameplay saves, all that stuff, is just going to come with you from the Cyberpunk you were playing on your Xbox One X. And it's going to upscale appropriately for that Series X console that you're playing on. So again, that's the step in the right direction. Is Sony going to do something like that? Maybe. I feel like they're going to do some sort of, again, if they don't do something that's smart delivery-esque, that's the divide. That's the big divide where they might not get the same base where it's like people are like, well, I can do smart delivery on those people that are looking to like upgrade, just not yet. They're like, well, but if I get it on Xbox, I can play it now and upgrade later and still play it and not be penalized and have to buy like a new copy. Like I'm sure, like, for example, again, purely on speculation based on lack of information, but Ghost of Tsushima, you're playing it on your PS4 and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna get PS5 eventually, right? Let's say 3 months come by and I'm upgrade, but I've been playing it on my PS4. Are you just asked out because you got to start over? Like, is that how that's gonna work? Like,
yikes!
And not only that, maybe not. Let's say maybe you don't have to start over, but do you have to buy a new copy? I don't know how that works because I think you can play PS4 games on a PS5 in some fashion. Again, I don't know how because I don't care to find out because of Sony. But
I mean, they have some level of backwards compatibility, but I'm not sure to what depth. That's been something that they've struggled with for some time. But even so, I guess to kind of wrap this up, they had some price points drop for PS5, potential price points, and they are quite interesting to say the least. And the rumor is not confirmed, of course, to be $650.
I saw that, and I think the price point obviously varies based on the size memory you get.
Correct.
Speculation, of course, but
probably.
I feel like there ain't no way in hell you getting people to come up off $650 for a PS5, and Microsoft, all the signs point to them coming out at $400. There ain't no way, Chief.
Or even $500.
If you think for a second, people are coming up off of an extra $250 for your shit. No way. No way. I mean, yeah, the fanboys, the absolute of hardcore, yes. But anybody on the fence, no way, son. There ain't no way you drop an extra $200 for there. That's a reason to jump. If you were like a Sony, like it was like like you weren't like a fanboy, but you only had a PlayStation type of shit. You was like, yeah, I could really only afford one. I know people that play on Sony, so I got a PlayStation. Come this next generation, when you looking to upgrade, and a PS5 is $200 more than an Xbox, no way. There ain't no way those fence people, they're absolutely jumping shit over to Xbox.
Yeah.
100%.
100%.
100%.
And even if they're not, they're just going to end up staying and holding on to their PS4 until the price drops, which I think a lot of people would end up doing anyway.
Yeah. Especially the way things are now, I think a lot of people are going to wait. So, especially if you don't have to. And again, me being a primary Xbox player, I'm not going to have to make the jump. And being a Game Pass owner, I could get Halo Infinite on Game Pass on my One X. I don't need to upgrade right away. Why should I?
I would.
Microsoft has made it possible for me not to. Thank you, Microsoft, for that. And thank you for Game Pass Ultimate. And thank you for Smart Delivery.
Thank you for all of that, but I will be one of the ones that hop on this pre-order jump since the availability will more than likely be a bit limited.
Oh, it's gonna be limited. Yeah.
So as soon as that pre-order drops, I'm putting that money down, and I'll have an unboxing for y'all.
Yeah. 100%. So that will conclude this week's episode of the Flash and Dash podcast. We want to thank everybody for chilling with us, hanging with us, leave some, interesting things in the comments, questions, whatever. You can catch me at, I'm at SGA Flash. That's Twitter, Instagram.
Same thing here, SGA Dash. No extra stuff, underscores, none of that. Just SGA.
just straight as you see it. And come visit the Facebook page if you aren't already. Naturally, I'm sure a lot of you, those of you that follow us are already, on the Sports Gaming Anonymous Facebook page. But again, as we say all the time, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend, because you might know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that's into games or something weird in between, games, sports, and everything in between. That's what we're all about.
All the time.
Again, thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Flash here. Thank you, Dash.
Oh yeah, always.
Thank you, Dre. And we will catch you guys next time. Appreciate y'all. Peace out.